Hey everybody, welcome to Bicycle World. I'm Dean Henthorn, and we've been out testing bikes. And the way we like to test bikes is we really ride them and do long-term tests on them. This particular bike is my bike. I've been riding this bike for almost a year now, since it was new in 2013. And I want to give you a full report on it, what it was like, what it's cost me, and give you a real rider perspective of it. First of all, I want a bike that's going to be able to take the abuse that I dish out. I weigh almost 200 pounds. I ride everything kind of like it's a downhill bike. I want something that can pedal, something that can climb, something that can huck, something that can snap turns, and something that's going to be just a blast to ride. This particular bike, again, 2013 model. In 2014 they have a 650B model, but I'm a 26 guy and I'm in love with this bike. Let me tell you why. This bike, first of all, has been spec'd by me. This is not a typical Pivot build. Pivot builds has a nice XT and XTR build kit with full Kashima suspension on it. It's a little pricier, but I wanted to build this the way that I wanted to build it, using some of the parts that I'm really happy with and that I always wanted to try out for myself. Starting with the front, we went with the Reynolds all-mountain carbon wheel. It's a 26-inch wheel, as we said before, 28 spoke. We've been really happy with these wheels. We live in, or I live in, probably the roughest area, I think, in the United States for day in and day out riding. This is a rock garden from top to bottom, and it abuses parts. If it can last here, being ridden 4 or 5 days a week, then it can last anywhere. So these wheels have done very well. In 1 year we have broke a couple of spokes, which I found replacements for very easily, replaced them myself. I did have a hub issue with the rear, and the great thing about this is while you might pay $1,800 for a set of these wheels, the Reynolds customer service is fantastic. They have a warranty on the wheels. If anything goes wrong, you send them back, and 3 or 4 days later you've got another wheel sitting there. So the good news is I had a backup set of wheels, another set of DT Swiss aluminum wheels, and it gives me a chance to actually feel the difference between aluminum and carbon. So super happy with the Reynolds wheels. The other thing that you'll notice is I went full carbon on this bike. I wanted to see how light I could build a 6-inch bike that I could get gnarly on. So I went with a full FSA cockpit, I went with a seat post, and the whole drivetrain. Carbon drivetrain on an all-mountain bike, who would have thought, huh? But I didn't know if it would actually take it or not. All that marketing hype that everybody tells you how tough carbon is, well, I figured I'd put it to the test. And I'm telling you, the SLK has more than stood up to the test. They've won, this particular crank has won the world championships in cross country, and it's taken my 200-pound abusive nature riding out here in Arizona. That shifts as smooth as any top-of-the-line shifter I've ever ridden. I would never go back. I'm super happy with this. Yeah, it shows a little bit of extra wear on it, maybe not much though than my typical aluminum stuff. Very happy with it. It's super sexy. It's stiff. Everything you want in it. It's awesome. The other thing I chose a 3x10 configuration because I do like to climb. I don't mind climbing 3,000 feet to earn my turns, get some gnarly downhill runs and a lot of fun. Took a WTB saddle, and of course we mix and match tires. GX has been very good about letting me try out some different tires, and so we do a lot of tire testing that way. But this bike has been outstanding, and I put my hard money where my mouth is. I bought this bike, and I can highly recommend it to anybody. It is the best bike all around that I've ever ridden. It climbs anything, it descends anything, and it's an all-day blast. What am I going to do different? Well, that's a good question, because now it's truly time to turn this into a hardcore enduro bike. And here's what I propose. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this Fox fork. Well, it performed pretty well. It doesn't have a high-speed compression adjustment, which used to bother me because you couldn't adjust it for the chatter bumps. And the other thing is it only goes 30 hours is the recommended ride time between rebuilds, and it barely gets you 30 hours. I had to rebuild this fork twice myself, which I highly recommend learning how to do. It's very easy to do, saves you time, saves you money, and gives you a cool feeling of accomplishment too. But anyway, so you have to rebuild this a lot, and I didn't like the fact that all you get is a cartridge in here and not a lot of your own adjustability. If you're one of those guys that just likes to get on it and ride and you don't like to fiddle with your suspension, it'll be fine because it works really well. But the window that it works really well in is only about that wide. As soon as it goes out, small bump compliance goes away. The one thing the fork did do though, it always worked well in big hits. So you're never going to be out of pocket if you're doing some gnarly stuff. You'll just give up some of the small bump compliance. So we're going to change this fork out. I'm going to a 34mm stanchion X Fusion fork that I'm really excited about. I'm going to switch out this stem, get away from the little cross-country stretched out version here, go back to my FSA shorty stem. I'm going to put a gravity dropper seat post on it. So I'm going to add a few pounds to the bike for sure, but I think it's also going to make it that much more fun, much more downhilly, and rock and roll ready for the Enduros and Super Ds. That's the plan. The next time you see this bike, that's what's going to happen. I do also plan on getting an X-Fusion rear shock here as well, although the rear shock performed admirably through the entire process. We did just rebuild this as well, but that's to be expected when you ride a bike hard. If you want my bet for the best bike and best bang for your hard-earned dollar, the Pivot Mach 7 Carbon. I never thought I'd be a carbon guy as well, living out in the rocks, but this has proved me wrong. This thing still looks like $1 million, and they've done a fabulous job with it. That's my word. This is Bicycle World, and have a great day.